So this is Jimmy Dore. He's a political comedian with awesome amounts of truth. He tells the truth. He's actually a Bernie guy, and by no means in Trump's corner. Um, Not what you would classify as a conservative, more I guess what you'd say a liberal slash libertarian. Um, he's been under attack by the tech gulag, and as you know, as well as conservatives. And the only reason I mirror this on my channel is to save it, preserve it, because I believe it's going to be taken down. And urge everyone to go and subscribe to this guy, to his channel. He speaks a lot of truth, and this is why they're censoring him. So take a listen and let me know what you think.
So now here's Julian Assange, and he's gonna tell you this guy's got more integrity in his pinky than fucking CNN has in their whole cock. Anyway, I don't know if CNN has a cock.
CNN has a lot of cocks.
They have a lot of cocks, that's right. So watch this guy, watch what he says about Hillary Clinton and Russia. Because I've showed you this before 3 years ago. I showed that Hillary Clinton did an internal poll before the election, and they found out that her biggest vulnerability was her connection with Russia and that uranium deal that she did with them, because they got $142 million into the Clinton Foundation, just like Dylan Ratigan just said. They do all these deals, they get all this money into their foundation. They got $142 million over that uranium one thing, and people go, oh, that's been debunked. It hasn't been debunked. That fucking corruption of the highest order, $142 million. All right, so now he's going to tell you the same thing. Watch this.
Hillary Clinton has done quite well strategically to try and draw connection between Trump and Russia, because she has so many connections of her own. Now, my analysis of Trump and Russia is that there is no substantial connection. Why do I say that? Well, because Trump was trying to invest in Russia before Putin in the 1990s, after Putin, in fact, nearly all the way up to the present moment. And he's had no success. He did not manage to build hotels and so on in Russia. So that shows how insubstantial his contacts are. There's an extremely well-documented pattern of when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, those people, companies, governments, who wanted a decision by the Secretary of State in their favor, making large donations to the Clinton Foundation, or in some other cases, business deals with the people around Hillary Clinton. Now, one particular instance is the approval by Secretary Clinton of selling 20% of the US uranium reprocessing rights to a Russian company to be exported to Russia. So at that time, a large donation was made by those Russian interests to the Clinton Foundation.
$142 million. All right, so I'll stop it there. And, you know, I just want to say, once I played a drinking game where we had to take a shot every time WikiLeaks had to retract something they published. And, well, we were all 100% sober. He's telling the truth. And so again, they want to talk about corruption with the Ukraine and Trump, and it's all over them, right? Here's Russia scandal befalls two brothers, John and Tony Podesta. Amid swirl of controversy, Democratic power lobbyist Tony Podesta steps down. The Podesta Group is not named in the newly Mueller indictment, but the company is one of the two indirectly referenced in the charges. Podesta and another lobbying firm, Mercury Public Affairs, were working with Paul Manafort. So Hillary Clinton's campaign manager's foundation or lobbying group was working with Paul Manafort, who was Trump's campaign manager. Do you see this one-party shit, corruption? Do you see what's happening, right? Tony Podesta, a Democratic power lobbyist, announced to colleagues Monday that he's stepping down amid a series of indictments that cast a shadow on his work his firm had done with Paul Manafort that may have benefited a Ukraine regime friendly to the Kremlin. So Hillary Clinton's campaign manager working for the Kremlin. Okay. The Podesta Group and Mercury claimed in lobbying disclosure reports, get this, they said they represented a Brussels-based nonprofit organization, the European Center for a Modern Ukraine. They didn't. that sought to help. What they were doing, they were working for fucking Manafort. And who was Manafort working for? Their real client was the government of Ukraine, which was pro-Russia at the time. Gates and Manafort, for many years, represented the Party of Regions. That's a Russia-friendly political organization in Ukraine that was led by Viktor Yanukovych, former president of the Ukraine, who fled to Moscow in 2014. In 2012, Manafort and Gates solicited two Washington, D.C. firms, Company A, which is the Podesta Group, and Company B, which is Mercury, to lobby the United States on behalf of Yanukovych and the Party of Regions and the government of Ukraine. So Hillary Clinton's campaign manager's lobbying group was lobbying for the Kremlin inside the United States. That's the ties that Julian Assange is talking about. Also the $142 million. Also, do you know the biggest payout Bill Clinton ever got for one speech was $500,000? And you know who gave it to him? The Kremlin Bank gave it to him. So that's what Julian Assange is talking about. And what do they teach you? What does Machiavelli say? Whatever your biggest weakness is, you throw it on your opponent. And that's exactly what they did. And she had the help of the intelligence community and the media, which the CIA has infiltrated. They all go right along with it, all right? Yes, you are correct. And now watch this. That's kind of great heckle. And here we go.
Awesome. It's like a contributor.
He's like, it is. It's like I have a bigger panel. So now watch this. So here is John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, who worked for Bill Clinton his whole time in the White House too. And so now watch him get taken down by the minor bird.
Do you find it odd that there's been so much attention on the Trump campaign and the Trump associates and potential collusion with Russians when in fact it's really the Democrats who have deeper and stronger ties to Russia? I mean, John, I've got to ask you about your own situation, your ties to Russian entities. You joined the board of a small energy company in 2011. 2 months later, a Russian entity directly funded by the Kremlin invested $35 million in the company. You were given 75,000 shares in a Russian company, which you failed to disclose when you became an Obama associate.
Maria.
Now, all that is true, and now watch what he says.
It's not true. I fully disclose and was
Well, watch. She doesn't let up.
completely compliant with, and by the way, I divested before I went into the White House.
Oh, yeah?
Why did you divest
that
it,
company.
John? A lot of people feel like you divested it to your adult children.
I divested it consistent with the advice that I was given by the White House counsel's office.
He gave his money to a fund that his daughter ran. That's his divestment. He didn't divest. He gave it to his daughter. Here we go.
And I was fully compliant and fully transparent about what I had done. And so the fact that you're picking through my emails that were stolen by the Russians and released by WikiLeaks,
Yeah, we have your emails. That's how we know it's true, John. That's how you know it's true, or were you lying in your emails, you shit fucking liar?
Getting a story which is not true is, something that we have to deal with. So you weren't given
75,000 shares of stock in a Russian company? You were not given 75,000 shares?
I didn't have any stock in any Russian company. So go back and get your facts straight, Maria. But
That's not true, John. We know that you own 75,000 shares. You were on the board of Joe.
It's not a Russian company. They own less than 5%.
It's backed by the Kremlin.
I didn't own any shares in that company, Maria.
When you stepped off the board, you were given 75,000 shares from Joe Lee.
That is not true.
How many shares were you given, John?
Maria, I didn't have any shares in any Russian company. I was on the board of an American company that did business here and only here. The Russian company had a small investment in that company. And we can go around and around the tree.
Well, it's widely reported that it's backed by the Kremlin. It's been widely reported that that company's been backed by the Kremlin, and they gave you 75,000 shares that you had to disclose.
They didn't give me any.
Now, just imagine if this was Trump, right? They'd be like, oh my God, we got him! We got him! He was on that board. He took the $35 million, 70,000 shares. Blah, 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 blah. But again, so this is the Democrats pretending this is not going to work, this impeachment. It's not going to work. Hang on.
Into the Obama administration.
Maria, you can keep leveling this charge. It is not true.
Okay.
They didn't give me anything. They had a small investment in a company I was on the board of. It was a clean energy company that was trying to deal with the issue of trying to produce energy, liquid fuel, from a biotechnology process. It was based in Boston. The Russian company had a very small investment in it, and you could keep saying that they gave me stock, but they didn't. I'm just following all the widely
reported information here, John.
Well,
there's also Hillary Clinton, obviously.
Maybe you're looking at widely reported information from InfoWars,
no, I'm not.
But it is not
No, I'm not.
true.
This is Politico. This is the New York Times. This is the Wall Street Journal.
No, it's
That's
not.
what I'm looking at, John.
No, it's not.
Then
Maria.
there's Hillary Clinton. Then there's Hillary Clinton, of course, we know, who got $100 million from Russian companies after she allowed that Russian company to acquire 20% of the U.S.'s uranium. So the point I'm making here, John, is that there's much deeper ties to Russia on the Democratic side than there are on the Republican side. And it's just a hedge.
That's just a fact. That's just a fact. Trump wanted to do business in Russia. He's such a bad business guy, he couldn't do it. But guess who did? John Podesta. Guess who did? That's right. Guess who also? Hunter Biden. How about that? And by the way, we know from Podesta's own emails that Hillary Clinton bragged about being invited into Putin's inner sanctum. We also know that Podesta did exercise 75,000 stock options as a result, gained 75,000 common shares as a result of being a member of an executive board of an energy company, Juul Unlimited. During that time that he was on that board of Juul Unlimited, Rossano USA, the Kremlin-financed company, invested $35 million into Juul, the company he was sitting on the board of. Overall, Juul received $200 million from outside investors. The parent company of Rossano USA is JSC Rossano, which is a Russian state enterprise. So the company he was on, Juul, its parent company is a Russian state. Do you see how deep their ties are? Before leaving Juul in December 2014 to become special advisor for Obama administration, Podesta received 75,000 shares of common stock from the company, which he then transferred to Leonodio Holdings, a Delaware-based corporation managed by his goddamn daughter. Okay, that's not divesting. Podesta never claimed these stocks on his disclosure forms because according to federal law, listen to this, he was a new entrant into the federal service even though he had served in Bill Clinton's White House from 1993 to 2001. So he could skirt that having to disclose that money because he was a new entrant into the federal government. So Podesta never received the $35 million while he worked for Obama or Clinton, but his company did when he was a board member from another company that was controlled by the Russian government. So Podesta did not violate federal law. He is part of a larger problem in our country where former high-profile officials take advantage of the revolving door between government service and corporate sector and help shape the law to protect it. Unethical? Probably, but not illegal. This is the shit, this is all gonna come up, right? This is not gonna come up if they try to impeach Trump, okay? By the way, let's get real. Democrats were first to enlist Ukraine in the U.S. elections. Watch this. Since at least 2016, Democrats repeatedly have exerted pressure on Ukraine, a key U.S. ally, for buffering Russia to meddle in U.S. politics and elections. As I have reported, the pressure began at least as early as January 2016 when the Obama White House unexpectedly invited Ukraine's top prosecutors to Washington to discuss fighting corruption in the country. Really? The meeting promised as a training turned out to be more of a pretext for the Obama administration to pressure Ukraine's prosecutor to drop an investigation into the Burisma Holdings gas company that employed Hunter Biden and to look for new evidence in a then dormant criminal case against eventual Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. So Obama is pressuring Ukraine to not investigate Hunter Biden, but to investigate Manafort. The exact shit that they're accusing Trump of doing right fucking now. Valerie Chally, the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States at the time, confirmed to me, the writer of this report, to me in a statement issued by his office that in March 2016, a contractor for the Democratic National Committee pressed his embassy to find any Russian dirt on Trump or Manafort that might reside in Ukraine intelligence files. They were fucking doing it. Yes. The DNC contractor asked Chaly's team to try to persuade Ukraine's president at the time, Petro Poroshenko, to make a statement disparaging Manafort when the Ukraine leader visited the United States during the 2016 election. Chaly said his embassy rebuffed both requests because it recognized they were improper efforts to get a foreign government to try to influence the election against Trump and for Hillary Clinton. So there it is. Again, it's fucking the exact opposite. Often, what people think, God created us in his own image and likeness. We created God in our own fucking image and likeness. And this is exactly what happened here. They invented Russiagate because they're the fucking Russiagators. They're the one in bed with Russia, and they're the corrupt motherfuckers doing all these deals with energy companies. And now all they can do is say InfoWars or say you're a conspiracy theorist. Watch this. This guy tries to say, watch this.
Again, this puts at risk our national security.
Yeah,
so
I think we understand your
others.
position. I think we understand your position quite clearly. Let's make it a future event. If a Democrat wins the White House, should their vice president have a child who serves? Should they be allowed to have a child who serves on a foreign energy company's board with interests in the United States?
We can talk about what people should be allowed to invest in, what jobs they should be allowed to take.
Yeah, we're talking about it right now, fuckface. We are talking about it. He just asked you about it. Should that be okay? Well, we'll talk about it. No, we're talking right now. So that's how these people are tricking him into thinking it's a real news show. It's not a real news show. It's just these two motherfuckers who like to ask real questions.
We need motherfuckers like that.
Yeah, I know. So this is not going to work, right? This is their strategy, and here it is. Here he is. He calls it conspiracy. Watch.
So that the president has historically long been involved with conspiracy theories. This is yet another conspiracy theory.
But sir, it's
we
not
can't
a
lose sight of
conspiracy
this simple
theory.
fact.
We know that Hunter Biden did, in fact, earn $50,000 on this board. That's not a conspiracy theory. We know that he has little to no expertise in Ukrainian energy sector. So is that unseemly? Is that the type of thing that we should be accepting from a prominent Democrat?
Again, that's a separate issue.
The Democrats are more corrupt than Trump, for fuck's sake. It's unbelievable, right? And here, you want to know about Biden's kid in China? Watch this.
Let's review the facts, shall we? Hunter accompanied his father on a 2013 trip to Beijing, catching a ride on Air Force Two. Days later, a private equity firm called BHR Equity Investments raised $1 billion, later $1.5 billion, in funding from the Chinese government. Literally, the company's largest shareholder is the Bank of China. Guess who sat on the board of that company? A Mr. Hunter Biden. Get this, while in China, Vice President Joe Biden shook hands with a man named Jonathan Lee in his lobby. Innocent. Hunter Biden got coffee with Jonathan Lee. His lawyer says just a social call. Weird though, because Jonathan Lee went on to become the CEO of BHR Holdings, which won that loan from the Chinese government. Even better, he bought 10% of that company in October, shortly after his father left the White House. Now, Hunter's lawyers say he wasn't paid to be on the board, and he hasn't received any income from it. Yet. He still owns 10% of that fund. He was sitting on the company's board. You don't think he has any incentive whatsoever to pull some strings? What if he sells that share? How much is it worth? These are obvious follow-up questions that I guess a normal journalist would ask, but alas, I guess it falls upon Crystal and me. The problem for Biden is, of course, that he has locked himself into a story which is very hard to believe. Listen here where he claims that he never once discussed his son's business dealings.
I've never spoken to my son about real estate.
And so how do you know?
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of a president. Everybody looked at this, and everybody's looked at it and said there's nothing there. Ask the right question.
Every single person watching this program knows that the fact that Hunter was involved in these deals is unseemly and a problem. The media excuses it because it's just so run-of-the-mill for them and not worthy of any real scrutiny, because that's just how this town works after all. Consider how routine's Hunter position is. In 2002, George W. Bush's brother Neil signed a $400,000 consulting contract to advise a Chinese semiconductor company, which was founded by the son of the Chinese president. Our system is infiltrated, corrupt, and rotten. And Hunter is just the latest embodiment of this. Democrats and the media are fooling themselves if they don't see just how much more there is. And while all this is going on, Elizabeth Warren's entire candidacy is predicated on rooting out corruption and shutting down the interests of the powerful. But she can't condemn this in full. What does it actually tell us about her?
Well, here she is. Here she is. You saw this. Here she is. They asked her. So her whole thing is anti-corruption. She came out with her anti-corruption plan. She has a plan for the anti-corruption, and she's asked about this.
For two ethics plans, could you say whether or not under a Warren administration would your vice president's child be allowed to serve on a board of a foreign company?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, I have to go back and look at details.
This is what's called a tell.
I think she had an earpiece. Like she's like, no, and they were like, wrong answer, wrong answer, wrong answer, wrong answer. Deflect, deflect, deflect.
Just say you're a stable genius.
No.
Say you're a stable genius.
I guess she didn't have a plan for answering that question.
You know what, Jimmy? I thought she had to confer with her tribal leaders.
Oh.
It's a theory. It was just my theory.
And if you want to talk about a scandal and you want to talk about $6 billion being missing, here's some Haitians protesting Hillary Clinton appearance at a Barnes & Noble in New York City.
Ladies, let's break money. $6 billion. $6 billion. $6 billion. Where's the money? Bill Clinton. Where's the money? Hillary Clinton. Where's the money? Chelsea Clinton. Where's the money? Chelsea children.
That's awesome. God bless those people. This is, you want to talk corruption? We can go all day. That's what they did in Haiti. How about boom, Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul Jr., went to Ukraine in 2017, was a board member of Viscoli, an executive at its related company, NRG Lab, which did energy business in Ukraine. And Nancy Pelosi appeared in a promotional video for the company. They're all fucking involved. They're all corrupt motherfuckers. Viscoli Holdings is now suspended in California. That's right. As of 2010, it listed two managers, David Strawn, Escondido of California, and Sergei Sorkin of Moscow, Russia, as their executives. And by the way, those two people weren't allowed to run that, so they had to shut that fund down. It was illegal what they were doing. All right. Oh, by the way, here's Joe Biden. So do you see it's never end? That's Nancy. It's everyone. It's all of them. And I'm sure when Chelsea Clinton got that job for $600,000 at NBC News, it was because she was such a good reporter. And now she sits on the board of Expedia. It's because she's a travel agent. What the fuck? All right, here we go. Joe Biden said, I will put the integrity of my whole career in public service to this nation up against President Trump's long record of lying, cheating, and stealing. Do you see how ridiculous this is? And here's what Aaron says. Your son got $50,000 gig with the Ukraine gas company months after you backed a coup there, and a lucrative deal in China after you flew him there on Air Force Two. I can't think of a worse person to try to challenge Trump on integrity. Our next live Jimmy Dore show is November 5th in Buffalo, New York, November 17th in Philadelphia, and December 27th in Honolulu. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all of our live shows and become a patron or a Jimmy Dore Show member at jimmydorecomedy.com/join and support the show. We give you hours of bonus content every week. Thanks for your support.